quiet gays. Where are the quiet gays supposed to go?
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Lesbian Book Club. This week we have a bit of a different episode for you. I am always looking for something to watch on TV, and of course, I want to watch something sapphic. And so I thought I would put together a list of movies for you. It's short, but it's movies you probably haven't heard of. And I'm mainly going to be doing HBO and Netflix because I think that's like HBO has some really good movies you haven't heard of, as well as shows. I'd say HBO is mostly more shows that are sapphic oriented. Netflix has a ton of movies. But I'm going to start with HBO, and here we go. Now, I know I said that I was going to give you a list of movies, but if we're talking about HBO, I have to talk about my all time favorite show just ever. It is called Gentleman Jack, and I will not shut up about this show, so I might as well tell you guys all about it. So, Gentleman Jack stars Saran Jones, who is so beautiful and such an incredible actress. She's a Virgo. I love an earth sign. But this show, it has two seasons. The first season is incredible, especially episodes 3 and 4. Those are my favorite. And of course, the last one, which I believe is episode 8 in season 1. And she plays a character named Anne Lister, who is a real historical lesbian from England. She was an Aries, so keep that in mind. And I feel like um, Wainwright, who is the writer and director of this, like new Anne Lister was an Aries and wrote her as such because like this woman just screams Aries. She was born in the early 1800s. She was a diarist. She wrote over 2 million words over the span of her life. And a lot of the sapphic things that she wrote about, because she was a lesbian, were written in this like mathematical code. And then she hid her diaries inside the walls of her estate. And her estate was called Shibden Hall. And it's the show covers Anne Lister looking for a wife in the early 1800s in Halifax, England. And it's so cool because Anne Lister is just like does not conform to the ideals of the female gender. She's very masculine presenting. She is able to own land. She collects rents, which is like seen as a man's job. Like she does all of these male things, but she's like, I am a woman and I just like women. And she falls in love with a woman named Anne Walker, who is played by the adorable Sophie Rundle. You've seen her in Peaky Blinders. She's literally the most perfect, like, waspy white woman that you would cast in a period drama. Think like Saoirse Ronan, in Ammonite. And it's just a beautiful story. The way they tell it, it just gets into the humanity of these women and the different stations of life that they come from. And it just really tells a true story in such a beautiful way. And one of the cool things is this is on my bucket list. I was actually just talking to someone about this recently, is to go to Halifax because in Halifax there is a church and it's still standing and it's where Anne Lister and Anne Walker got married. And it's known as like the first lesbian wedding. And I just absolutely adore this show. I've watched it a million times. I will watch it again. It's highly, highly recommended if you watch it. Please send me a message and let me know like all the ins and outs and the favorites of everything that you liked because literally I won't, this is probably going to be the longest segment because I love it so much. It's Saran Jones deserves whatever the British equivalent of an Emmy is for it. Sally Wainwright also should just be given all the awards. It's just beautiful. The costuming is beautiful, the camera work, the dialogue, they break the fourth wall in this show, which I always love. I think it just adds an added element, I guess, to storytelling because it's like it's like the actors are saying to the audience, like, you're seeing this, right? And I just love that. Okay, I'm gonna highlight two other movies that are on HBO, and the first one is called Shiva Baby, and it's a 2021 film. I'm gonna read a just synopsis and then talk about it a little bit. I haven't seen it, but it definitely seems up my alley. So I think this was the IndieWire that wrote this, and they said, more stressful than most thrillers, the comedic Shiva Baby is the brilliantly uncomfortable feature debut of Bottoms director Emma Seligman. Rachel Sennett stars as college senior Danielle, a frequently messy Jewish woman who gets herself into a horrifically awkward situation when she ends up at a Shiva with her parents, her sugar daddy, and her sugar daddy's wife, who's played by Diana Agron. And we can talk about her sapphic connections. While attempting to avoid the landmines that the circumstances have caused, she flirts with her law school bound ex, Maya, played by Molly Gordon. Sennett is terrific as Danielle, who is best described as a classic gay disaster, screwing herself over and over time again, and in a way that's all too familiar to anyone who's ever been young and dumb. And she and Maya have spicy chemistry that will make you swoon when you aren't wincing. Now, Rachel Sennett can do no wrong in my eyes. She's incredible. She's literally one of the funniest up and coming comedians I think I've seen. If you haven't seen her in Bottoms, which we're going to be covering next, you absolutely need to see it. And it's so cool to know that a lot of the lines in Bottoms were ad libbed by her and Io Debris. So that's another recommendation I have for you, which is Bottoms, although I don't know what it's streaming on. I will have to check and get back to you guys. Or I'll just say it in the next episode. So check out Shiva Baby. Another film on HBO is called The Watermelon Woman, and it's a 1996 film. And here is the synopsis from IndieWire again. One of the precious few queer dramas to center a Black woman, and possibly the first feature from a Black lesbian to achieve any sort of prominence, the Watermelon Woman is both a breezy rom-com and a wry look into the history of race in cinema. Cheryl Dunye directs the film and stars as the main character, a video store clerk making a documentary about the forgotten and fictional 1930s performer named Faye Richards, known for playing stereotypical mammy roles. In the meantime, she enters a relationship with a white woman, Guinevere Turner, which strains as she learns more about Richards' life. It's a sly, smart look at sexuality and race on screen and one of the best independent films of the 90s. So definitely check that one out. I'm going to put that on our list to cover because it sounds incredible. And now we are going to switch over to Netflix. Okay, so Netflix has a lot more movies, and I'm gonna run through about 6 of them. Again, I'm gonna read just like the synopses. I'm not quite sure. I haven't seen any of these either, so they're just the ones that I have built up on my queue to watch. And the first one on the list is called Elisa and Marcela, and it is a gorgeous period film about two women in 1901 Spain who want to get married. So one adopts a male identity so they can pose as a heterosexual couple. It's based on a true story about the first recorded same sex marriage in Spain. It's a heart wrenching but ultimately beautiful film about what women had to face to be together not so long ago. It ends with a hopeful postscript about how same sex marriage was legalized in Spain in 2005. And yeah, this movie keeps popping up on my list to watch. I just haven't had the time. And like we just talked about with Gentleman Jack, that was like the 1820s. And that was the first recorded marriage in England. And it looks like the first recorded marriage in Spain was about, 80 years after that. But it only got legalized in 2005. So, we came a long way, just not fast enough. Now, the next movie on my list is called Bruised. It is Halle Berry's 2021 directorial debut, and it was just not a critical favorite, but anything with Halle Berry in it, I will watch. So, in this movie, we dive into a sports drama that follows the disgraced MMA fighter Jackie Justice, who is played by Halle Berry, and she reconnects with a son she abandoned and the mother who failed her, and also a hot MMA trainer, Bobby Baroa. And it just kind of follows Halle Berry's story, it seems like. So I am definitely going to watch that. Maybe I'll put it on later tonight. And let's see, third movie is called Feel Good. This is actually a series, but it had Mae Martin in it, and I like Mae Martin, and she's also dating Parvati from Survivor. And if you're not a reality show competition person, you got to watch Survivor. Parvati has one of the best storylines. She's on like multiple seasons. And then she was on Traitors. And if you want me to talk for 2 hours about Traitors, just ask me and I will. But this is not that episode. So anyway, this semi-autobiographical comedy stars Mae Martin as a recovering drug addict living in the UK and struggling with both sobriety and their relationship with George, who's played by Charlotte Ritchie, who previously identified as straight and is hesitant to come out. So that is kind of seems like a common story where one person is struggling with something and another person is struggling to come out. I feel like I've seen that trope and that theme throughout some other shows and movies that I've seen, so definitely check that one out. Now, I'm going to switch gears. We're going to go back to a movie on Netflix. It's called How I Felt When I Saw That Girl. And this is the first ever mainstream LGBTQ plus film in India. Director Shelley Chopra Dar unfurls an oh, I don't know what this word is. Oh, I'm sorry. Unfurls an uproarious, layered rom-com with a lesbian romance at its center. As Sweetie, ooh, this is a hard last name for me, Shadhari, faces constant demands from her family to get married, she platonically bonds with a new suitor. Struggling playwright Sahil Mirza, while keeping a major secret. It may take a while, but once Sweetie and her lover Kuhu take center stage, the result is magic. I put this one on there. I haven't seen it. It is on my queue to watch, but just seeing how it's the first ever LGBT film from India that gathered any traction, I want to throw it on here. I would love to get it some more clicks, some more views, and I'm sure it's incredible. Now, here is kind of a controversial one only because it's Ryan Murphy. It's a Broadway show that was adapted. It's called The Prom. And I'm going to read this, not review, but like synopsis. Ryan Murphy's big movie musical, adapted from the Broadway show of the same name, premiered in December 2020 and has left many singing the bubbly soundtrack since. The star studded cast includes Nicole Kidman and Meryl Streep as Broadway stars who travel to Indiana to advocate for a student when she's told she's not allowed to bring her girlfriend to the senior prom. The dance numbers are glitzy, the songs are catchy, and the straight from the headlines plot will be relatable for LGBTQ plus and allied viewers alike. So anything with Nicole Kidman or Meryl Streep, obviously I'm going to watch. Throw in Ryan Murphy. I would love to see how that worked because, he's an American Horror Story guy and is like normally very creepy and disturbed. So I'm interested to see his take on a musical. Now, the last film that I'm going to talk about in this little mini episode is going to be The Valley of a Thousand Hills. This Zulu language film is a lesbian love story set in a highly patriarchal rural South African province of, oh no, KwaZulu Natal. Okay, that wasn't that bad actually. Oh, but now there's a name. Nosifo is a role model for a conservative community as the chief's daughter. So she and Thenjiwe keeps their relationship a secret. When Noshipo's father declares that she must marry, she has to decide whether to fulfill her duty or risk her life to follow her heart. I haven't seen this film. I hope she chooses the latter. I'm definitely going to watch it. I love a foreign film and one to be set in South Africa. Obviously, there's going to be race and class and all sorts of hurdles and hoops to jump through. So definitely check this movie out. If you guys get a chance to watch these movies before I do, please DM us on Instagram or TikTok or send us a message via the little link below in the show notes and let us know what you think. We're definitely going to cover these on the podcast. We just are focused more on books at the moment, of course, but we will be reviewing Bottoms next, and then we'll probably throw in an L word episode. But stay tuned for next week's episode to find out what book we're going to be reading. And we hope you guys enjoyed this little mini episode, and we will be back next week. Bye. Love you guys.